Let's take a look at this Milwaukee Brewers team, which we just saw in person not too long ago. But let's take a look at where they're at now. They've only gotten better since the last time we saw them. They are 88-64 with a plus 135 run differential. They are 6-4 in their last 10, thanks to the Arizona Diamondbacks. Their team OPS is at 735, which is tied for 10th in all of Major League Baseball. They have a starting pitching ERA of 4.02, which is about the middle of the pack there at 16th. But of course, their bullpen is incredible. 3.17 ERA, which is good for second in all of Major League Baseball. And then defensively, they have 27 outs above average, which is fourth just behind the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah, it feels like just yesterday that we were talking about playing the Brewers, and it wasn't yesterday, but it wasn't that much before yesterday. The Brewers, since the Diamondbacks last saw them, they just took 2 out of 3 from the Philadelphia Phillies. They're kind of riding high after clinching the NL Central Division. Of course, they've had a pretty substantial lead there for a while. So, yeah, we have this team ranked 3rd for a reason, right? I mean, I've been so skeptical of the Brewers basically the entire season. And in some ways, I still don't really understand how their starting rotation is getting the results that it is. As we said last time, they have outperformed their peripherals by a pretty wide margin. The Diamondbacks have done the opposite. But you got to give credit where credit's due. And the Brewers are a very good team. They are 24 games over 500, plus 135. Like this has not been a fluke. And Jackson Churrio's a superstar, and you probably shouldn't walk the batter ahead of him in order to face him.
Remember that this time.
Yeah. Maybe the D-backs won't try that this time around. So it should be just another big challenge for the Diamondbacks, right? And of course, this time it's on the road.
Elise says, hopefully everyone but Churrio is nice and hungover today. Of course, Jackson Churrio, below the legal drinking age of 21.
Yeah, he is. He's 20.
But I will say this, based on my experience, when you get sprayed with champagne in the clubhouse, it still somehow like seeps in. I don't know how to explain it other than just like soaked in through my skin, and I still felt the effects.
Was feeling a bit of a buzz.
You were,
during
weren't
the
you?
D-back
Yeah, see, I know it. And I
year,
mean, he stays away from it. He's smart. I was all up in the mix with my camera.
You just felt like I was just inhaling it at that point. There was just so much of it.
You do inhale it. That's for sure. But.
I mean, the other thing here real quick is that the last time the Diamondbacks were in Milwaukee, that's what happened. They were popping bottles, right? That's the last time the Diamondbacks faced the Brewers on the road
in Milwaukee.
And you wonder if maybe the Brewers are playing, maybe they have that in the back of their minds a little bit, knowing what the D-backs did to them on their home turf last year. It was obviously a really rough couple of days for them to just a quick 2-game sweep. It felt like the series was over, in a day, because it basically was, I guess. So it'll be interesting to see how the Diamondbacks approach this, and if I don't know if maybe things get emotional, maybe a little chippy over the course of the weekend. I'm not really expecting that, but who knows?
It's not how we play the game. We play the game the right way over here. You know that.
Right, exactly.
But I will say that maybe, that locker room, maybe that inspires a little bit of good memories. Maybe being in there and remembering what they celebrated in that room will help them cross that finish line. There's also they
don't have Evan Longoria to make like unbelievable plays at third base.
It's true,
though.
But you have me, and I will take my shirt off after drinking a whole bottle of champagne. So that's well documented.
Yeah,
I'm still allowed to do that, right? I'm not allowed to say the F word anymore, but I can still drink a whole bottle of champagne. No one's going to take that from me. I won't host the show anymore if you go tell me I can't drink a whole bottle of champagne after the Diamondbacks make the World Series. But of course, there is some challenges in regards to facing the Brewers this often in a 4-game span.
Yeah.
Or not in 4-game span. In what is it, like a 12-day span? You got 7 games over that span. It's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, the series with the Brewers just ended on Sunday, right? I mean, that was 4 days ago. So, yeah, it's always a little hard for me to really pinpoint like who has the advantage, who has the disadvantage in these situations. Yeah. Players generally describe it as like there's both pros and cons to seeing the same team in such a small stretch. I think numbers wise, the more that you see pitchers, the more vulnerable those pitchers get. So I think that this would probably favor hitters, that getting to see some of these same guys again in such a short span of time.
Well, and the Diamondbacks have kind of had some changes, right? They've had some roster changes. They got some guys back. So I mean, in regards to the players returning from injury and who the Brewers are going to see. They have a little bit less information, I guess, than the Diamondbacks do on who they're going to see on Milwaukee's side. So
we might, I definitely thought it was possible Lourdes Gurriel Jr. would be activated today. It doesn't look like we've gotten any news on that front yet, which makes me feel like maybe that's not happening, at least not for today. Not for today.
Yeah, but it could still happen throughout the course of the series.
Yeah, it could still happen during the series. Torrey said in Colorado while I was there that he was, he definitely believed that getting Lourdes back on this road trip was possible. So, probably get some updates there before too long.
We do have a look here at the probable pitchers, though, for this upcoming series against the Brewers. And, of course, Diamondbacks have Brandon Pfaadt, Zac Gallen, and Merrill Kelly all in this one, including and also Jordan Montgomery. They're starting in the final game there. Brewers have not made an announcement for Game 2, but they do have Tobias Myers going in Game 1 against Brandon Pfaadt tonight. Then Aaron Savali in Game 3 against Merrill Kelly. And they'll round out the series with Frankie Montas there in the final game.
Yeah, Frankie Montas has been kind of an under the radar move at the trade deadline. He's been pretty good for the Brewers, and it just the Brewers just have this pitching apparatus, I guess, that just seems to get the most out of guys one way or another. Montas, since coming over in that trade, has a 3.55 ERA in 9 starts. So he's been really, really good, far and away, better than he was in Cincinnati earlier in the season. D-backs seeing Tobias Myers again tonight. Of course, that's a guy that they did see in the last series. They did not, however, see Aaron Savali or Frankie Montas. So those guys are different. I think it is pretty likely that we'll see DL Hall pitch
Game 2.
In Game 2. That's listed as TBD right now. But
I wouldn't be surprised if they go with a bullpen game of some kind, just considering how bad the Diamondbacks are in bullpen games.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And also DL Hall really struggled against the D-backs the last time around, right?
We want him again for sure.
That was that crazy Sunday game where they were up 5-0 and then they were not up 5-0. But they still won the game when all was said and done. It was a pretty wild one. I do have a couple notes on Brandon Pfaadt that I want to touch on real quick. I talked to Brent Strom about a variety of things in Colorado. And Pfaadt and kind of his recent struggles was one of those things. One of the points that Stromy made was getting Pfaadt to rely on his curveball a little bit more. So that's something that I'll be curious to see tonight, especially against lefties. Stromy was talking about how the sweeper is maybe not quite as effective of a pitch against lefties as it is righties, which certainly makes sense. It's more of a horizontal moving pitch than more of a 2-plane slider. Hence why we call it a sweeper instead of a slider. So that'll be interesting to see. How does Brandon Pfaadt attack left-handed hitters in particular? That's been kind of a struggle for him, not only in this recent stretch, but sort of the whole season. His splits have been really dramatic. So we might see the curveball used a little bit more, maybe even as an out pitch in certain situations. So that's something to keep an eye on tonight.
We all silly like the mayor.